Hi everybody, I was asked to show how I make some of my decals for some of my projects. I've done this for a couple of my World War II fighters, but more currently I've done it for the Ripslinger build. So what I did, if I had trouble finding decals of the right aspect that I needed, I'll usually go to the store and buy a three-dimensional toy with the decals on it. So in this situation, I actually used my daughter's toy that I modeled my Ripslinger design, as you can see from my previous video. So I took some high resolution pictures such as this. You can also scour the internet to try to find pictures that you could download. So once I have these pictures, obviously three-dimensional shapes, different pictures I saw on the internet, different aspects. The object is taken a three-dimensional and put it to two-dimensional. So you can see I have this one picture that I ended up cropping out just enough to get everything that I would need. And then I would go ahead and basically use my select tool over here, highlight this area that I want, cut, and then I would go over and open something like PowerPoint. Now the reason that I use PowerPoint is that you can actually manipulate the size that you would like PowerPoint to be in. You can go ahead and paste your pictures, flip it, and PowerPoint you don't lose the resolution in pictures. Some people do it in Word, but Word actually will make your picture resolution lost. So you can see all the decals that I'm making right over here. So the next step would be to go ahead and print it, and I would print it on some type of white decal paper. So here's my white decal paper that I used. Once I had it printed on a photo or glass type finish, I ended up having to put the bonding spray on there, so a little goes a long way. Make sure it's completely dry before you manipulate it. These are other areas I cut out to make my model, as you can see right over here, Ripslinger where they're at. So you can see, especially for the 13 where I cut it out, that I had a lot of white on the inside, so I ended up going with a very precision paintbrush to fill in the gaps in between to make sure that it blended in. Did the same thing with the frames. The flames, I actually touched up the flames with paint to make it pop out a little bit more. So I just cut out my decal. As you can see, I just went around the edges. Didn't have to be precise with it, left some of the white in there. I'm going to go ahead and place it in water. These are your traditional water slide decals. Now, it's kind of a little tricky when you're dealing with these printable decals where you don't really want to leave them in too long, because then your paint will start to bleed. Depending on the type of printer that you have and the ink that you use, I usually leave it in there for a couple seconds, and then I'll take it out and let the water soak in just to avoid that bleeding. So after letting the water absorb, maybe dipping once or twice to accelerate the process, I went ahead and slide the decal off in place where I wanted it on my model. So this was the Ripslinger that goes underneath the wing. So just be very gentle with it. I typically use a razor blade just to pick it up from the bottom. I'm doing it with my finger, but you probably want some type of tissue to blot out and absorb some of the water to make sure that this is flat as possible. And once you are, again, the desired position and blot out as much as you want, you can go ahead and just wait and let it dry. So now that this is dry, I'm going to go ahead and use my Tester's acrylic paint in order to blend in with the rest of it. So I'm going to basically use a small, nice pointed, the point's not that great on that, I'll get a different one, pointed brush in order to go along the edges and blend this in. So this is kind of the hard part. So you can see I just finished painting the black, and now I need to paint the green. Clearly it's still a little bit wet, but it's blending in. But make sure if you're doing multiple colors that you're still maintaining the color scheme and contour underneath in order to make the decal look more effective. As that black dries off, I'll go ahead over and finish the green area and show you what the finished product looks like. Alright, just finished putting on the green. You see I kind of went with the same exact contour that there was there already, and I ended up filling in a lot of the white spots, and there you have it. It blends in pretty nice, and it's a nice effective way to make decals from your model, make it pretty unique, and that's basically what I did throughout. Now obviously that red streak and the checkerboard I had to paint myself, but it gives you a Very nice looking plane, since you more or less have your own printed decals, and it's very unique. You know, obviously they don't have these commercially available just yet, but there are ways around it. Thanks for tuning in, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks, bye.